Oh, hello, and welcome to Al Dente Rigor Mortis, where we discuss those stories most creepy and most pasta, and be critically silly doing it. I'm Mikey, the E stands for evil.
I'm the gamer in yellow.
And tonight we have the Goat Woman. So, the Goat Woman is a story on creepypasta.fandom.com, and it is written by Never You Mind Who.
I need to know who. We have to know.
Never You Mind Who.
Well, we have to know. All right. Guess we'll never know.
Yeah. And it's about a goat woman. And we start off the story with a girl that goes to school, and in kindergarten she's very shy and quiet. And then in, I think it's first grade, she finally speaks, but instead of words, it's the bleating of a goat that is heard. And
That's such a weird word to describe that sound, but yes, also that.
mm-hmm. Yeah, and her proportions are different than the rest of her classmates, and she starts growing horns on top of her head like a goat. And it basically, she gets through her schooling and then ends up living in a cabin at the outskirts of town. And she's able to read and write and all that. So most of her days are spent reading books by candlelight at night and whatever.
Creepy books, as far as the story says, I think.
Yeah.
So she reads creepypasta.
Basically, they leave her to her own devices, and even though the kids are all freaked out about it, and probably, well, they'll treat her like a monster, which is kind of fair because she does look like a monster.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Fair-ish.
yeah. So fast forward to one night where the rain's really pouring down, and the goat woman leaves her house and starts knocking on doors and bleating like a goat as loud as she can, basically trying to wake up the town. So she does with the mayor's residents and then the sheriffs and so on and so forth. She
Although
doesn't
it's not
actually.
known that she's trying to wake up the town. It seems like she's trying to break into everyone's houses.
Yeah, but she doesn't actually go in any doors. Like, she just knocks and doesn't go any further. Like, it's
aggressively. Like she's trying
yes,
to break down the door.
yeah, but not break down the door.
No.
Anyway, so the sheriff and the mayor say enough is enough, and they get all the villagers that are now awake and create a mob with pitchforks and torches and all that wonderful stuff. And they basically follow her to her shack, and she points in a direction, and they ignore her, and then they tie her up, saw off her horns, and with her there, all tied up, whenever they finally realize or look at where she was pointing, and the dam has a crack in it and is about to burst.
Well, also, they beat the
And,
shit out of her and killed her, is the thing.
yeah,
I
well,
don't think you mentioned that.
the horns. I mean, they let them go bleeding, and anyone with a wound, if it's left unattended, will bleed out. So,
The sheriff shot her
um,
in the chest with a shotgun.
yes, there is that.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, and the dam lets go, and all the people are whisked away. And I
Pretty
think
much.
that's pretty much how it ends, and it's a cautionary tale. Basically, don't judge a book by its cover.
Hmm. Don't judge a woman by her horns.
Yep. Yep. All right. So I guess the next step is everyone tolerates the grammar inquisitions at this point. Um, so I just have a conjunction junction.
Okay.
And next stop, Conjunction Junction. Doot, doot.
Because of this peculiarity, she gained the reputation of being more than a bit strange or of being the odd one out. It seemed that judgment had finally come calling for the town that had rejected her. It's time for this monster to die. Fit.
Wow. Interesting. That's very, very short.
Mhm.
I mean, that is basically what happened, you know? That's
Yeah.
you should just roll with that for your rundown. Way more succinct.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of what happens when Mikey grabs a bunch of sentences, or three, through the story that start that they probably shouldn't, like its, ands, or buts, because there's always better words to use.
Hmm. Okay. And then, do you have any grammar in yellow?
No. Also, I've realized that we didn't do initial recommendations at all,
All right. Yeah. Yeah,
because
we should
that's the thing
probably
that
do
we've been
that.
doing, kind of. Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, it's time for initial recommendations halfway through the podcast.
Halfway through. I mean, whatever. Technically, this isn't necessarily a bad spot for initial recommendations, because this is when we are shifting over to our actual thoughts on what we feel about the story and not just grammar stuff. So
That's
this is
true.
fun. You know what? We're workshopping a better place for initial recommendations. How about that? Yeah. So this is yeah.
All right. Oh, I am going to recommend this one.
I will also recommend this one. So
Okay.
let's see if our if our notes and actual thoughts actually ruin the story for each other somehow, which has happened in the past, I think.
Yes. Um, so let's see. First actual thought here. So I feel like as soon as the character started growing horns, that they should have probably been taken out of school and be
Yeah,
homeschooled.
one would think.
But
Or
then it's revealed later that the parents just GTFO'd. Uh,
yeah, but then that also raises the question of like, where is she living as she's a child? You know,
that's
has she been
true.
living on her own the whole time? Does she have a foster family? Like, it raises so many
Well,
questions.
yeah. Well, I just assumed that her parents left and basically she had full reign of the house. That's on the outskirts of town.
Yes, but it's not really mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah.
Regardless, it is weird that like this. girl shows up with actual horns growing out of her head that speaks like a goat, and everyone's just like, that's weird. Anyway, for today, we're going to do this math problem. Like, no one cares. Like, they're freaked out about
Yeah.
it. But, like, I feel like the SCP Foundation would show up, or the SNTF. Like, some government, like, officials would show up and at least try to figure out what she is to see if she's dangerous, because she kind of looks like a demon. Like, it's kind of a problem.
Yeah. But we don't get any of that.
No.
That she's just treated like a regular shut-in kid that doesn't have any friends.
Yep. I mean,
Um,
like, early on, before she had the horns, she was already strange because she made a goat noise, but that could have been some tick of hers,
yeah.
But as soon as, like, and like, even when she started growing and her limbs were like longer than normal and her shoulders were bigger, it's like that's also passable. But like, real goat horns. I mean, like, come on, someone's got to figure this is weird.
Yeah. One, and there's no mention of any effort taken to cover them up, like with a hat or anything. At least when they were small, like.
Nope. The teachers don't question this at all. Everyone's just like, that's weird. This is fine. Moving on.
Yeah.
It's really my only gripe with the story, honestly, is that whole bit.
Yeah. And then for me, my actual thought here is that I actually saw the ending coming a bit.
Yeah.
Or because, like, my mind was going, like, she's done nothing wrong. She's the good guy.
Yeah,
like,
we're wanting this to be a buddy horror. Where's the buddy horror?
Yeah, exactly. So when she started knocking on doors, and I think when she got to the second house, I was like, oh, she's trying to warn them of something.
Yes.
And then it was solidified when she pointed in a direction and nobody paid her any mind. It was like, come on, guys. Look in the direction.
Yeah, no, random townspeople be dumb. She lives in Derpland, unfortunately.
Wait. Does this mean that Derpland has been destroyed?
Yes, finally. So that means from now on, there will be no more Derpland, unless this is a story in the far future.
Ah, yes.
So we could potentially have many, many more Derpland stories.
So it's a far future where goat people are normal and the town is just racist.
Yeah, actually, yeah. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot more sense than what we have, because it covers my whole problem with the story. The fact that, like, she has goat horns and, like, she's still able to go to school and the government doesn't pick her up and find out what she is. Wow. Once again, Mikey, you either completely ruin a story or completely fix a story. And it seems you have completely fixed a story I already liked, like, with this headcanon of ours. They say if it ain't broke, don't fix it, but you fixed it anyways.
Yes. So, yeah, those were my two main thoughts on this. So.
Okay. That was a good zinger to end on.
And
now, the impossible feat of following that. Great. Thanks, I hate it. So, for my first note is just in regards to the art.
The art.
Yeah, is this the first story we've done that has, like, AI generated art on it?
Maybe,
It's the first one I recall, at least.
but the problem is that like we're expecting someone sort of with broad shoulders and abnormally long limbs, and I mean her one arm looks slightly longer than the other, but
Yeah. I think basically, when I first started reading this, I saw a picture and it's talking about kindergarten. I'm like, okay, I hope she goes up through the story. So this picture is actually somewhat realistic. Also, she doesn't have goats.
No, she doesn't.
Unless she does, but it's just not mentioned, like at her cabin.
Unless those are her parents.
My God, there's two of them. Oh my God, you're right. Probably not though. And also, like, her expression there makes it look like she's like devious and evil. Meanwhile, like, the character herself is really not like at all. That being said, if this is AI generated, which I'm pretty sure it is based on some clues I see, you only have so much control over that. So for a art piece that fits this story, yeah, sure. It's better than most art pieces I see that go with stories, honestly, because a lot of them are like completely different. This one at least hits a lot of the same cues. And the whole like arms being slightly off center might be partially why the author put in that she has long limbs. May have meant like abnormal, or what's the wording I used? Like instead of abnormally long limbs, like abnormally like proportioned limbs.
Yeah.
Or like the abnormally long means like one is normal and one's slightly longer. That is the abnormally longness of it. Which could be the case. But all in all, I like the art. It's good. What's up?
Yeah, her thumb looks really weird.
I don't think I
Both
did
thumbs.
a thumb zoom. Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. They be weird. AI has a problem with the hands.
Yeah.
And like the right arm doesn't really go into her sleeve. It looks like it's exiting out of her sleeve. It's not lined up properly. But I mean, that's just the way AI is. But at a glance, in the thumbnail view, it's completely fine and looks great. So moving on. My next one is like technically some connective tissues time, if we want to call it that, because like Cultist isn't here, so someone has to pick up the reins, right? For connective tissues. It's always him. It's like on the day of me reading this, I was helping my sister look for a room for rent, and one ad that I was like going to message but decided not to because the person's ad was like, it raised a lot of red flags with me, like it was a scam and it was kind of like creepy and weird. The person's name was Isabella. And something, so her name was Isabella and something was wrong with her ad. Because like, especially when I read like at the very start, something is wrong with Isabella. I'm like, I just got finished reading an ad and then there was something wrong with it. It was very strange. So I'm probably, unfortunately, she might actually move into that place too. So I'm going to see this woman as a goat woman if she lives there now. But that's fine. Let's be immersed in the creepypasta now.
Yep. You're living a creepypasta.
Yeah. So my next one. Rumor had it that she had magic powers, or that her parents made a deal with a witch, or sacrificed a goat to a demon for her to live. Isabella, of course, could make no reply to any of this, and her parents had suspiciously fled town long ago. So as soon as I heard that, I'm like, does she not have the ability to write? Like the story stated that she went through primary and secondary school. So I suppose like the story like does say that she keeps to herself all the way through school, so she's very antisocial. So that's why she doesn't tell anyone. But it makes it sound like, oh, she can't talk, so of course we can't figure out any information on her. Meanwhile, she does have the ability to share information, but because of how antisocial she is, she doesn't know how to share information, I guess.
Well, but like, I don't know. It feels like she knows math because she can go up to the board and answer the question on the board.
Yeah.
So why can't she write words? Because I mean, she went through school. Like, how do you not know how to write words if you've gone through school?
Yeah. And like in regards to her running out of the cabin to warn everyone, maybe like she just wasn't thinking. It's like, shit, I need to warn everyone. She's like halfway there, and it's like, shit, I can't talk. Fuck it, they'll understand. They probably won't, because these people hate me. Fuck them, but oh well. I don't know. Because, yeah, I don't know. The main thing is, if she wrote down a note and like pushed it against the glass of the person scared of her, then we wouldn't have a story.
Yeah, well, and even if she put a note on the glass, then she might look at them funny and then they'd still be scared.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It could be, like, even if she does everything possible to warn everyone, it could be viewed, even as a reader, like the way it's written, it could be just covered in what looks like a threat or, oh, she's trying to trick us kind of deal. If it goes heavy into, like, her like mischievous face, or like she's all like creepy looking holding this note on, it's like, oh no, I don't believe that, fuck that, then even us as a reader, we could still think that the goat woman might have snapped and is actually just trying to get in these houses to kill these people. But also cover the bases of she has the ability to write, she could actually try to share this information. It's a harder job to do, but it's possibly doable, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, to say that she wasn't able to communicate or whatever, when we know that she could probably write, like, there's nothing stopping her unless she has goat hands.
Yeah, that's true. And she clearly doesn't, because she did the math on the board. Although she could have like pinched the chalk in between like the two hooves and just like done it with that. But even if that's the case, she could still write.
Yep.
It's said in the story that she has the ability to write. So yes.
Yep.
And the last bit on this note is like we have a tiny bit of information on her parents, just that they suspiciously fled town long ago. I wonder how long ago?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Like when she started growing horns, when she was born, like when they realized that she wasn't truly human, like how long has she been on her own? I'm just very curious about this character.
Yep.
And then the next one. The candle in the window always burned throughout the night like an eternal flame, as she read. So when I heard that, I'm like, first off, is this like actually like a magical eternal candle that she never has to replace, that just goes forever, all day, every day? Probably not, but because like no one's just sitting there staring out her window waiting for her to change the candle, right? But I don't know why, but the entire time up until reading there, I was really struggling to get a feel for the time period of this, because at first I assumed it was modern-ish because of school and because of the mention of like but like because of the mention of the candle in her cabin, that immediately put me back into like ye olden times is when this takes place. And then it got to her banging on a window, and I'm like, okay, so windows are a thing. And then he pulls out a shotgun. I'm like, okay, it's at least somewhat solidified for me. 1900s-ish plus is basically when it is, because there's shotguns. But it took me a long time to get there, because it doesn't directly mention anything modernish from the get-go. So this could be a tale from way back in medieval times or yesterday. So it took a while to get there, but it got there, so whatever. I can't complain too much. And I guess the only way it could have mentioned that earlier is if it said even on the bus on the way home, no one would ever sit next to her, or even in the adjacent seats, or something like that. I don't know.
Just looking, and there was a Austin dam failure in 1900 that killed a few dozen people.
You're looking up dam failures this whole time?
Well, just because you brought up it happened in the 1900s, so I was like, oh, I wonder if any dams failed.
Okay, fair enough. Maybe this is inspired by that event. Probably not.
Oh, or the St. Francis Dam. The dam catastrophically failed in 1928, killing at least 431 people.
God damn. But accidental pun. That's brutal. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know how I would feel living next to a dam, just knowing yeah, that's there now, but if it isn't, I'm fucked.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But I'll move on from there.
Okay.
He feared what the goat woman could be capable of and was prepared to shoot the creature, but instead of breaking the door down as he expected, the creature ran off into the night to the next house over and once again began pounding on the door and calling loudly with an awful sound. So when I read that, I was like, this might be earlier than the story wanted, but as soon as that happened, I was basically like what you said, Mikey. As soon as that happened, I was like, oh, she's friendly and trying to warn people. It's going to be one of those stories where the actual monsters are the humans.
Yep.
And it did double down on that, with people like an angry mob showing up, pitchforks. So it's very Frankenstein-ish in that aspect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then moving on to my next one. We're not just going to let you go home now. We've had it with you terrorizing us, and we're not going to tolerate your wicked existence any longer. So when they said that, the first thing I thought of is isn't this the first time that the goat woman ever left her cabin and bothered them at all? Them saying, "We've had it with your terrorizing." This is the first time she's interacted with anyone.
The problem is that she's a recluse, and in most stories, anyone who's a recluse is alienated and treated as though they're less than human.
Yeah.
And basically the kids, I would guess the kids probably even terrorized her by coaxing the idiot in the class to go and knock on her door and run away or something.
Yeah. Or egg her house and shit like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not so much her terrorizing the town, it's the town terrorizing her.
More of the town terrorizing itself, and she's just there as a source of inspiration. Aha! Baha! Baha! A scapegoat woman. Very nice. But yeah, so it's basically the passive terror that she's doing just by her existing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I double checked. Yes, she did get shot by the sheriff, but she did not get shot by the deputy. It mentioned very quickly, so I could see why like you forgot about it or maybe even read over it.
Yeah.
Because it's literally reacting quickly. The town sheriff shot the goat woman, hitting her directly in the chest before the light drained fully from her eyes. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah. Well, also trying to just have a brief rundown. Like we didn't need all the details.
I think her dying is important.
That's true.
It seems pretty important. But yes, so I'll just move on to basically the ending. I kind of wish it ended right when it said, only then did the townsfolk notice the cracks in the large wall of the nearby stone dam straining under the pressure of the rising water. I wish it stopped right there. Because as soon as I read that, I got what's about to happen. There's no real extra zinger that follows in the next two small paragraphs.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's a sharper ending personally if it stops there. I guess this is technically grammar. Is this grammar? Is that what this is? Our grammar section is kind of like fluid, you know. It's not solidified into anything.
Yeah. But yeah, I see what you mean. Like it's one of those things where it's best left to the imagination of what happened. Like you know the dam's gonna break based on that sentence, and then we get the description of the wall breaking and rushing water and uh, wiping the town away and whatnot. And it's like, well, yeah, it's well. On the flip side, it's good to have more information, but
Yes.
like I said, if you want a zinger at the end, it makes sense to finish it off earlier.
For me, it's the fact that both of those other sentences didn't technically give me any more information because all of that I assumed based on the zinger line that the dam's going to break. She tried to warn everyone. She's technically trying to be the hero, the savior of the town, but the entire town is going to die because they're hick idiots that don't take kindly to goat women around here.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But that's the end of my notes.
Okay. So on to final thoughts and recommendation. So I, I enjoyed the story. Although like both of us pointed out, like you get that she's trying to save the town before it's revealed that what exactly is the issue. Like
Yeah.
it's nice to have foreshadowing, but I think we both agree there's a little bit too much foreshadowing, like because
In regards to us seeing that she's trying to warn people with the knocking, at that point it's the way it is now, it's not trying to have it. Okay, the way that we read it, it would be like not necessarily like it's going to be a twist ending that she's trying to save everyone. It's basically making it so like the entire time you're reading it, it's like a tragic story because you know what's going on the whole time, and we just have to sit there and watch it happen, you know, to this unfortunate person that was just trying to do good. So it makes it hit differently.
Yeah, but I think part of the thing there is that you'd never see the quote unquote monster doing anything bad.
No.
Like they're only ever being bullied themselves and becoming a recluse and basically living their life away from being criticized as much as they can at the outskirts of town. But they're still in the town, so they're still getting criticized because, I mean, she probably has to still go grocery shopping or whatever somehow. I don't know.
I don't know,
Uh,
man. Like, like, does she though, or does she just stay there the whole time and she like grows stuff around her cabin and just eats that, or like because of her like her chemical makeup of whatever she is, like does she need to eat, like because she's like some sort of like half demon? Like we know so little.
yeah, but anyway, continuing on, I'm still gonna recommend this because it's very much just like I said in the rundown. Don't judge a book by its cover, and that's a classic writing trope that is done fairly well here, I think. So because it's the town that's very judgy.
It's Judgetown, USA, also known as Derpland.
All right, so onwards to Gamer Neil.
That's me. Yeah, I hated the story clearly. Like, no redeeming qualities. No. Joking aside, I also really love the story, even though there were like multiple things that made me question a lot of things on the story, like where are the parents? Where has she been living this whole time? Why is she not being picked up to be studied for what she is? How is she getting groceries? How is she getting money to get groceries? Does she have a job? Like, there's so many things that aren't. I just imagine her at like the Walmart or something as a greeter. But yeah, like there's so many questions unanswered, and normally that pisses me off. But the story was enjoyable. It wasn't super long. It didn't outstay its welcome. And like you see the entire life of this person. I'm not going to call her a monster. She's a person. That everyone hated because she existed, which is like a really tragic story, honestly. Like she's probably the best person in the whole town. Her only fault is that she can't talk. If she could talk, she could probably get away with having the goat horns. Or if she wasn't so extremely antisocial and she was willing to like write down to have conversations or learn sign language, stuff like that, then she could have just been a normal member of society as a straight up normal, non-scary buddy horror movie or story. But then there's no tragedy. There's no creep. There's none of that. So I prefer what we have to everything I just said, honestly, because the more things get explained, the more it just becomes kind of mundane and like it's less is more in most cases. So as much as I'm complaining about these things, it's good that they're not there, honestly. Because it just lets the story be what it is. It's focused on telling the story and not explaining all this stuff that technically doesn't have a direct need to be elaborated in the story. So yeah, all in all, I like the story. It was good. It wasn't going how I thought it was going to go, because I thought it was going to when the candle went out and she went out into the night and like the rain was like making her hair cover her face and be all creepy and she's knocking on doors. I thought basically the candle going out was like she was basically living on a timer, and when that timer went off, she snapped and went demon mode and is actually going to kill the town. That's what I thought was going to happen. So I still would have liked the story even if that happened, honestly, because the whole setup of the character and everything and the snapping point, it also makes sense because like she's been like tormented her whole life, so the town technically deserves her snapping. but what we got was good too. So I liked it either way, and yeah, we did not ruin the story for each other. You technically made it better by suggesting a weird headcanon where goat people are a thing, and this town is just extremely racist.
Yep.
Because that explains a lot.
Yep.
hmm So all in all, I still recommend this one. It's good.
Okay. And now I guess the outro that I don't have.
That you totally know.
Hmm.
So that's been al dente rigor mortis. Sleep well. Skip the whole thing. No, so I guess that's the end. If you want to support us on Patreon, you could do that. You could look us up on Patreon and support us on Patreon. We have tiers there. I said the tiers last time and they were wrong, so I'm not going to say them this time because I don't know what they are. You know what they are. You can go on Patreon and find them out if you want to support us. That'd be cool. To those that do support us on Patreon, thank you very much. You're literally keeping the lights on here, and we couldn't do this without you. So we very much appreciate that. And thank you to the authors out there that write these stories for us to read and comment on, because if you didn't do that, we wouldn't have much of a show at all because we'd have nothing to talk about. So thank you. I'm doing this a little backwards, but that's fine. If you want to message us, you can contact us at aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's how do we spell it? I know it's wrong. That is where is it? ALDENTERIGAMORTIS@gmail.com, where you can leave us suggestions for other stories to read on the show. If you want to message, Mikey is on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call. I'm technically there, but I'm not really there. Mikey's at E stands for evil, and I'm at the Gamer in Yellow, but I can't have a W on the end because X only lets me have so many characters, so I'm kind of fucked. Because my name is too long. I think that's everything, right? Did I get everything in the outro?
I think so.
I'm sure I didn't, and I know I did it 100% backwards, but it's fine. When the cultist isn't here, this is the shit show. We might as well just do the intro like that. Start the episode. Hey, cultist isn't here. Welcome to the shit show. Here we go. This is the story. I might actually do that next time. Because it is a bit of a hot mess when our faithful leader's not here. But that's fine. We'll survive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So how does he actually end it? Does he just go
He just says so this has been al dente rigor mortis. Sleep well.
No, we say our names. Our names. We have to say our names, yo.
Right.
So I've been or something like that, and this has been, I think.
Right.
Keep all of this in. It's fine.
Let's see here. I am Mikey, the E stands for evil.
And I'm the Gamer in Yellow.
And this has been Al Dente Rigor Mortis. Sleep well. Oh, hello, and welcome to the Mikey Show, where E reigns supreme.
It's really not. This
isn't the Mikey Show?
No, it's Al Dente, the weekly show we do where we have hundreds and hundreds of videos about reading creepypastas.
Okay, let's try this again.
Okay.
Oh, hello, and welcome to Al Dente Rigamortis, where E reigns supreme.
I mean that's not quite it, but fuck it. I
That's still
mean,
not
whatever.
right.
It's good enough. Also known as the shit show, which is what happens when Cultist isn't here and we have to take the reins and realize how hard his job is.